Stereotypes in Black books have got to go in 2024. I am so sick of seeing these things. So before we even get into the meat and potatoes of this video, I will let you know this is definitely my thoughts on reading Black books for a very, very long time. I read about 25 last year, but I have been reading so much more since 2020. And considering there was such an increase in diverse literature 2020 and up until now, I feel like we should have gotten rid of these things a long time ago, but maybe the publishing world just hasn't caught up. Hey y'all, if you're new here, my name is BB Queen and I talk about all things Black books. I have been wanting to make this video for so long, but for a while I was afraid of what people were gonna say, but honestly at this point I don't care. I am so tired of reading about certain things and I'm gonna say what I gotta say because it's actually getting out of hand. I want to talk about the things that I don't like, but I think the publishing world thinks that we like. I don't. So I do read a lot of traditionally published novels. I do read a lot of white books as well, and I can say for sure that some of the things that I see in Black books are just not at all present or even thought of to be written about in white books. So we're just gonna get into it and set the record straight. First things first, I am so tired of seeing characters that have no ambition, no standards, or no drive. The main book I'm thinking about is Queenie, but there are other books that I have seen that the characters literally just have zero self-worth. Queenie was a book where she was going through a breakup and it seemingly affected her entire life, which is realistic. Breakups do affect your life as a whole. But my problem with Queenie was that Queenie did not have any self-confidence. She didn't have any self-worth. She didn't have any hobbies. She did have friends, but her friends at one point like weren't even present in the novel, which is also pretty realistic if you ask me. However, majority of the book was Queenie thinking about this man over and over again. The girl had nothing else going for herself. She barely had a job. The entire book was like her being at rock bottom. And I feel like people just praise this book over and over again. And it wasn't really a lot of Black people that I saw this coming from. It was really a lot of white people who were just getting into Black literature that were like, oh, this was such a great book. This girl literally had no standards for herself. She could have easily been written to go on YouTube and find a hobby. She could have easily joined a gym. She could have joined a book club. All the things that people do when they're going through breakups where they try to find themselves. Queenie swiped on dating apps the entire book. And I don't even want to talk about the people that she encountered after her breakup. That was on top of her having a white boyfriend and missing all of the things, the racist things from her interracial relationship. And I personally do not mind interracial relationships in books. I think they are totally fine. I'm okay with that. Although I have heard a lot of people are not okay with it, I am one that I am okay with reading those books. However, the things that Queenie put up with just did not seem realistic, and I think what bothered me the most about it was how other people interpreted that as, wow, this is Black literature. No, it's not. No, it's not. Actually, there are plenty of books that have characters with standards, that have characters with motivation, with ambition, characters with full-blown careers that they have an interest in, and they date on the side, which is the realistic perspective or the realistic view of what actually happens in our life. So I don't know why this was highlighted as such an incredible Black book that everybody needs to read because it's just the top of our literature. No, it's not. No, it's not. So what I want to be in for next year are books with characters that have ambitions and have stable and steady and really great careers. One of my favorite books that does this is actually the referral program. Every single girl in this book has a stable job and a stable life. And this is a book about them dating and referring each other to their own friends. One of the guys that they date also has standards. They have a car, they live alone, they have a job, they have their shit together. It's not hard to write characters that have their shit together. Another book that I really liked that also did the same thing with characters that had stable jobs, this one, The Boyfriend Project. Even the main character worked in tech, which you don't see a lot of Black women characters working in tech. Love that. Also, her friends, one was a surgeon and the other one was starting her own business. Again, don't typically see a lot of novels with Black women that have stable careers, and there are Black women like that in the world that do exist. So why are we not writing about them? On the flip side, the romantic interests also have things going for themselves. He was an FBI agent, but he actually was portraying someone who worked in cybersecurity, also in tech. Again, people like this exist. Why are they not being written about in novels? And I read a lot of romance and mysteries, but more often than not, I come across the romance novels where the Black male characters or the love interest in a Black novel doesn't really have much of anything going for themselves. And at this point, I am becoming very intentional about the books that I choose because it is just getting tired. I'm so tired of seeing it. In 2024, I wanted more characters with better standards, with motivation, with ambition, with career goals, and are actually pursuing those career goals. That's what we're working on. So this next thing that is going out for 2024 are books about police brutality. Like I said, I read a ton, and I mean so many mysteries, and honestly, more often than not, I reach for white mysteries and thrillers because there are very few black mysteries and thrillers that are not written or do not include police brutality. I understand there is a time and a place for it. At the height of 2020, during the Black Lives Matter movement, people were buying the books that were about police brutality, but there is so much else to our lives that has nothing to do with police brutality. It doesn't need to be in every single book. It's too much. At this point, I will read the back of the book, I will look at the summary, and if the summary mentions anything about run-ins with the cops, I will immediately put it back because it's just getting too much. We have other things. I understand that is very much a part of the black experience, and a lot of novels try to reflect what is happening in current day and try to highlight that. But at this point, I feel like the books aren't even being written for black people. They're being written for the white people that are going to be reading them. That's not what it should be. Let's write about something else. There are mysteries that happen in black people's everyday lives that have nothing to do with police brutality, and they should be written about instead. There are very few books, like I said. The one that I read last year was actually The Violin Conspiracy. This one had a little bit of touch of, I would say, a police run-in, but the book is about a black male violinist, which is also rare in itself, who loses his $2 million violin. Very beautifully written. It has nothing to do with police brutality. It can just exist, and we can just talk about this as a mystery in itself. It doesn't always have to include police brutality. What I want to see more of in 2024 is us just writing regular mysteries and thrillers. Just swap out the characters in a white mystery or thriller and make them black at this point. And I know that there are authors that are writing these stories, but I feel like these stories aren't making it to publication, and that is the problem. The traditional publishing isn't actually picking up the stories that are unique and very specific to us. Like I said, I think a lot of the novels are written for white people or for non-black people who are going to be reading them, but if you want to keep increasing the volume of black readers or just diverse readers in general, the stories have to be accurate. They have to reflect what is going on in today's world. And everything in today's world is not police brutality. We do have mysteries that do occur outside of that topic. So yes, in 2024, I want to see less about police brutality and more about your good old mystery, your good old thriller, okay? Some just crazy characters that are doing psychotic things, and that's what I want to read more of. It's such a big one where I am just inundated with some of the books that I have read because it's becoming overwhelming in the most negative way possible, and that is black trauma. So many black books have black trauma just spewed all over them. I do book reviews on this channel all the time. You guys can definitely check them out, but every single book review that I've posted here on YouTube has had a trauma or a trigger warning of some sort, whether that be SA or DV or childhood abuse. More often than not, I have to give a trigger warning for certain books because it is just all over everywhere. Every book doesn't need to have some type of trauma that the character is uncovering. Some books can just be fluff, and those are the books that I enjoy the most because in reality, a lot of readers are reading to be entertained. They want to escape their everyday lives and don't want to read about other characters that are going through some of the things that they are. Sometimes it is useful, I will say that, sometimes it is useful to read about a character that's going through or trying to heal from trauma that they have experienced. I understand that. However, every single book, like there are so many books that just have black trauma all over them, and at this point I feel like the publishing industry is trying to capitalize monetarily off of black trauma because that is something they think that people want to read about. Maybe they're doing it for a white audience, but me as a black reader, I don't want to read about that in every single book. I don't. I want some books to just be fluff. Just write me a happy story. Black people have so many happy, joyous stories that happen, and again, they aren't making it to the forefront of the publishing industry, and it is so incredibly sad to me because we have so many other happy, joyful things to share, and I feel like a lot of books in the black publishing is just heavy. Just give me something happy. Here's an example. Play to Win. This was a romance, but it was about a black woman who won the lottery. I think she won like $80 million. Happy book. Love this. It was about their relationship. At one point, they did touch about some abandonment within their relationship, but that was it. It didn't go deeply into what she had endured in her childhood. It was fluff, but it was the fluff that I wanted, and I want to see more and more fluff. And there are some books that I just haven't read yet, so if you guys do know books that fit the requirements of what I am describing, let me know what those books are in the comments, and I will definitely read them. Another great book that I really loved was Take a Hint, Danny Brown. Great fluff. I loved it. I want to see more of this. And Dani had a very real career. So she was a professor at university, and she was in this relationship where she just wanted to have fun. And it wasn't a sense of her trying to find herself in this man. She just wanted to get some spice. And there is nothing wrong with that. This is the stuff that we like and we enjoy. And honestly, most of the books that I've talked about in this video are popular books because these are books that people like, and people like them because they're not heavy trauma-based books. Like, I just want to read happy stuff. I want other people to read happy things, and I want to talk about happy stuff on my channel. My page is to really highlight Black books, but I feel like I can't often do that because a lot of Black books that are on the shelves are a lot of stories that are either really heavy, really traumatic, and are actually somewhat inaccurate to what the Black experience is about. And that gets to my point number 4. And what I want to be out is white authors that are inaccurately writing Black stories. I don't know why this is even a thing. I don't know why or how this became a thing, but for you as a white writer, or just for a non-Black writer to be writing a Black story, there at the very minimum needs to be research done on the topic or the characters that you're talking about. For your characters to be fully developed and to actually resonate with your readers, which again are typically going to be Black readers, most likely, then you have to know what you're writing about and know about that culture. There are some authors who have done this pretty well and their books come across well. But there are other authors where the book just does not fit at all with the character. The characters are half-baked, to be honest, and that is the worst type of book. I do not like to see it at all. And by that I mean, like, the author will describe the character's hair as like, oh, you know, I didn't wash my hair after 4 days. Like, your average Black person is not washing their hair every 4 days, like, just like on average, right? So you as a white writer should know how to actually capture the different elements of the characters if your characters are Black. I think that goes without saying, but it's actually kind of crazy. Some of the books that I haven't even read the entirety of the books because the characters are so underdeveloped in a way that is cringy. I'm not saying that all non-Black writers should stop writing Black characters. What I'm saying is, if you are non-Black and you are going to write about a Black character, that character needs to be as accurate as possible in how they act in the culture. Remove the stereotypes, remove the Jezebels, remove the gangbangers, or whatever you think the character should be, and actually write them as they would resonate with real readers in today's world. That was a very long rant. Okay? I had to get this out there because it is a new year, which means it is a new time for releases and publishing. And as always, I'm going to continue to read Black books. I'm going to continue to talk about them here on YouTube. So if you guys like this video, or if you like any of my other content, or know books that, again, fit the requirements that I talked about in this video, let me know below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.